with another naturally obsessed look into basketball. And as always, before we begin, I want to preface by saying I'm not a basketball expert. I'm just a fan who's naturally obsessed. And my first content that I'm making since Game 7 ended had to cool off. I'm a fan, overly emotional, and the first thing I did do, however, came on here, owned up to where I was wrong, like I will always do going forward. And to you Mavericks fans, I appreciate those of you who were kind, and to those of you who weren't, you know, I think it's just because you wouldn't do the same when you're wrong. Real talk. And yeah, like I said, I'll always continue to admit where I'm wrong, own it, and it's not the first time I've been wrong. Guaranteed won't be the last, and I'm totally good with that because I'm not going to stop reviewing basketball games and making my predictions the way I always have. It's how I enjoy watching the game. It's how I see the game. That'd be facts. Now, how I want to do this video today, this is going to be an outlook on the offseason going forward for the Phoenix Suns and things that I think can happen, things I think will happen, and things I think that should happen. Now, before we begin, some people want to come on here and have not arguments, but disagreements with me about certain aspects to my opinions. So I just want to share with you all where I form my opinions. I don't know any executives. I don't know any high-end people within the Phoenix Suns organization, but I do know people that work in the Phoenix Suns offices, and with those relationships, I am privy to some, not a lot, but some information regarding injuries, regarding personnel, regarding free agent visits, trade inquiries, things like that. And sometimes I get it as these big name reporters get it, and I try to get that out. So I have been privy to something today regarding Deandre Ayton. It's kind of making the rounds right now, so I'm not breaking any news, but what I do know, not opinion, fact, what I do know is there are at least 7 teams right now in the NBA that are very interested in acquiring Deandre Ayton. And I've said from the beginning, and I'm saying it right now, I promise you, Deandre Ayton is getting a max contract. Promise you. And me saying that doesn't mean I'm saying he deserves a max contract. Two completely different things. But he's going to get it because of where the market is at. There are players who have gotten maximum contracts within the last several years that Deandre Ayton is better than. That's just a fact. And because of that, they weren't worth the max. But if Deandre Ayton's better than them, the market shows he should definitely be a max player then. So the reason I bring this up is because after the game was over, it came out that Deandre Ayton refused to go back into the game after being asked by Monty Williams. And when Monty Williams was asked about it in the post-game press conference, he simply answered, "It's internal." Monty Williams was very upset by whatever's going on, and it's coming around in the Phoenix area that Monty Williams and Deandre Ayton have not had a one-on-one since that happened. Monty Williams did address the team since that happened, but long story short, I don't want to ramble. Things are not looking very promising for the future of Deandre Ayton in Phoenix, and because of that, I totally expect for James Jones, the general manager, to shop around. Just see what's out there. Because at this point in time, you have to see if there's an upgrade available. Because as I've said, and I still stand by this, even though I'm very disgusted and disappointed in the performance of Deandre Ayton in the playoffs, I think he's a top 10 center in the league. Lower end, now, I think that. before this series began, I would argue somewhere in the 6, 7, 8 area. Now I think he's probably 8, 9, 10, somewhere around there, but top 10. If you can get someone who is better than DeAndre Ayton and can do what you've always wanted DeAndre Ayton to do, which is be aggressive at the rim, be consistent on defense, just own your part of the court. If you're not trying to get better, what are you doing? And I am of the belief right now, things can change. Things can absolutely change, but right now, with the way the NBA has been flowing these last several years, with what history tells us about champions and their big men, I am not 100% convinced that you can win a title with DeAndre Ayton. This team, anyways. Maybe there's other teams with the players around DeAndre Ayton that would complement what he does do well. Or maybe there's a team that will feature primarily DeAndre Ayton and he can shine that way. But in this offense, on this team, the way Monty has built the system, it's not built to feature a center. It's just not. It's built on the play of guards, wings, not a center. So the question then becomes, who's available realistically, right? Because realistically, for trade scenarios, I was given 5 names of players that could be viewed as valuable from across the league, whether it's because they're good or one of the most valuable pieces for a team that wants to break everything down and rebuild, expiring contracts. So Jay Crowder, he's going into the last year of his deal. I don't want to get rid of Jay Crowder at all. I love him. But depending on who's available, that could be a very valuable trade piece. Cameron Payne, he's going into the second year of a 3-year deal he just signed. I wouldn't mind trading Cam Payne at this point. I do like the kid, but he did not follow up his phenomenal year last year. He was very inconsistent this year, did little to nothing in the playoffs for us the majority of the time, had a couple good games, but mostly bad games. I think going forward, you need more consistency and just all-around better play at the backup guard position. You have Dario Saric, who did not play at all this year. He's going into the last year of his deal. He's probably not going to be very valuable outside of his expiring deal, but that's a trade asset. Torrey Craig, who I like Torrey Craig, but he's dispensable. You know, he's a good complementary piece on a team, but he's not what's going to make or break your team's bench. So that could be a valuable trade asset. And last but not least, the player I most do not want to trade or see go is Cam Johnson, who's entering the final year of his rookie deal. I've been hearing that the Suns would love to lock him up to a rookie extension, but again, if you're not trying to get better, what are you doing? If you can include him in a piece or as a piece with DeAndre Ayton to get a clear-cut, no-brainer upgrade at center, you have to consider it. You have to consider it. So the Phoenix Suns have options and are poised to be able to pull off a big-time move in the offseason. There's options available. And what I want to talk about next is the disgusting things I'm hearing on social media right now. First off, Patrick Beverley. Who the hell are you to criticize anyone? Straight up. Who the hell do you think you are? You're a tenacious defender. You get under people's skin. You're the type of player that anyone would love to have on their basketball team, but also people love to hate. I felt the same way about Jay Crowder until he joined my team. Now I love him. It's probably the same way most people that don't live in the Bay Area feel about Draymond Green. I respect Draymond Green as a player. I think he's one of the most intelligent basketball players we've ever had. But can't stand the guy. Patrick Beverley, you are nowhere near the same universe as Chris Paul. And for you to say Chris Paul can't guard anyone? Are you kidding me? Yeah, 37 years old. He's taken a couple steps back defensively. Absolutely. But 9 All-NBA defensive teams, that's kind of a major argument against you, don't you think? Chris Paul is still one of the most respected defensive guards in the NBA. And that's with him taking a step back. And for you to say, oh, everyone knows it. Multiple people, multiple active NBA players clap back at you. Who the hell are you? Listen, everyone. Chris Paul, his image right now, and I say his image, not his legacy, takes a hit. Because you've blown, and I don't want to say you as in Chris Paul did this alone, but you're on a team that blew another 2-0 series lead. You had people questioning throughout the entire playoff run, basically because even though you had some phenomenal moments against the New Orleans Pelicans, you also had some not so good ones. I stand by this statement. Chris Paul's legacy is set. In my eyes, and I understand you might feel different, and I respect that, because all I have to go off of at this point is regular season success and a few shining moments throughout the playoffs, but one finals appearance, and he lost. Two conference finals appearances, both losses. I get that. And you could make an argument against Chris Paul for that, especially with how most people tend to view players nowadays. But Chris Paul's legacy is set. In my opinion, top 5 point guard all time. And there's nothing he can do to change that for me. Right now, Chris Paul can only go up. My question, though, is can he go up? And before I get into the outlook and the chances for the Suns heading into next season, I want to talk about one last thing. This punk ass named Nick Wright on Fox Sports. Who the hell do you think you are? Colin Cowherd on Fox Sports. Who the hell do you think you are? Devin Booker is a 2? A number 2 option? Are you kidding me? And I understand because of the regular season success, because we vote on these awards as regular season awards. If you have the best record in the NBA, you're probably going to have quite a few members of your team recognized. But I don't care how good a regular season team is. Number 2s don't get number 4 in MVP voting. Number 2s don't make all NBA first team. Are there still massive deficiencies in Devin Booker's game? 100%. I will not argue that at all at this point. But you want to tell me that this man is not a star box office attraction? He fell flat against Luka. He fell flat in 2 consecutive closeout games. You know who else has done that? Giannis Antetokounmpo fell short countless times before he finally broke through. LeBron James fell flat before he finally came through. And do not try to get it twisted of me saying I think Devin Booker is in the same class as a young Giannis Antetokounmpo or a young LeBron James. I'm not trying to say that. What I'm trying to say, though, and if you're watching this, chances are you're a basketball fan and you're intelligent enough to know that I'm just trying to use this as an example of history shows the great ones can use losses, bad losses, as learning experiences to grow and become great. This is the first time, obviously last year was Devin Booker's first playoff appearance. Played phenomenal, and that the Suns blew a 2-0 series lead in the finals. Okay, but they were in the finals. And this was really the first time that Devin Booker himself was asked to carry a load in a postseason, because make no mistake about it, I hate that people are blaming this purely on Chris Paul. I hate that people are purely blaming this on Devin Booker. The entire Phoenix Suns roster, they shit the bed. There's no other way to put it. Jay Crowder was the most consistent player for the Phoenix Suns in this series. That can't happen. At best, at the very best, Jay Crowder needs to be your number 4. You cannot have him be one of your 3 best players if you're trying to win a championship. You just can't. Devin Booker, I would have said before this series started, definitive top 10 in the NBA. On the lower end, probably around 9 or 10. Right now, I've taken some time. I've thought about it. I think I have to put Devin Booker somewhere in the 11 to 12 range. I still think he's a top 15 player, no doubt about it, in the NBA. But damn it, next year, you better use this as ammunition to go off and show people I'm that guy. I am that guy. And last but not least, I want to talk about my expectations as of right now. Pre-free agency, pre-trades, pre-everything. Just right now, what's my outlook on the Phoenix Suns? It's not over by any stretch. The Suns are going to go into this upcoming season as title contenders. Probably not the title favorites, because Dallas is going to be better. They're going to add pieces, I promise you that. I think Golden State is going to be as good as they are right now, maybe slightly better, because I think Klay going into year 2 post-injury is going to be even better. The Memphis Grizzlies, I think, are going to be even better. The Denver Nuggets are getting Jamal Murray back, maybe Michael Porter Jr. They're going to be better. The Clippers are getting Kawhi Leonard back. They're going to be better. It's hard for the Lakers to be any worse than they were this year. They're going to be better. The West is stacked. That's why I keep saying this year was a complete failure and disaster for the Phoenix Suns, because the West was theirs for the taking this year. It was title or bust. I don't care about 64 wins being a franchise record. Means shit to me. I don't care about Monty Williams winning Coach of the Year. I don't care about Mikal Bridges coming second in Defensive Player of the Year. I don't care about Cam Johnson being third and 6th Man of the Year. I don't care about Devin Booker finishing 4th in MVP voting, being all NBA first. I don't care about all that. It was title or bust this year, and they busted. Plain and simple. I take nothing to celebrate from this season. It was a disaster, a waste of time. I spent 7 months of my life trying to beat the drum till it made people go deaf. The Phoenix Suns are winning the championship this year. Waste of time. So again, there's a lot of pieces that the Phoenix Suns need. They need more. They need more shooting. In particular, not just shooting, but they need guys who aren't so reliant on Chris Paul and Devin Booker to pass them open. Because Devin Booker, and it was made clear as day in the Pelicans series, which I think the Mavericks used to their advantage, which is why, again, I think Jason Kidd did a phenomenal job against Monty Williams. He outcoached Monty Williams this series, hands down, no question about it. Luka was phenomenal, but I think Jason Kidd was the MVP of this series. Outside of Devin Booker, there's no one on this team that can create their own shot. Chris Paul to a certain extent, but I mean, he definitely didn't do that this series. But if you can't create your own shot and double teams against Devin Booker are going so well and Chris Paul isn't providing anything on offense, forget playoff success. You're not going to win many games in general that way. So if they don't make any changes on that, I think teams are going to hone in on that going into this upcoming season. And, you know, I think regardless, the Suns are good enough to have a guaranteed spot in the playoffs. That there's no question about that. I promise you the Phoenix Suns are making the playoffs next year. My question is going to be, though, if they can't improve the lack of shot creating on this roster, it's hard to say with the stacked West where they're going to fall. It's really hard, but Monty Williams disappointed me in this series, but I think the man is smart enough to know where a mistake was made. He's a player's coach. He doesn't want to disappoint his guys, but I think at the end of the day, he needs to use this as a learning experience as well to be, you know, you have to protect the rest of your players from themselves. And I also trust James Jones. I really do. The man's done a phenomenal job since becoming the GM of the Suns. He's made a lot of really good personnel decisions, a lot of good roster pickups. So, to end this video, I just want to say, you know, I don't celebrate the failure or try to find a silver lining to this season at all. But if you're a Suns fan, which I am, there's still a lot to potentially be excited about for the near future. And we'll just see how the offseason goes. But in the meantime, I'm just going to do my best to enjoy some good quality basketball for the rest of the year. We have two really good conference finals matchups that I'm excited to watch. I'm going to break them down with you as they occur, and throughout the off season, I will be here breaking some Phoenix Suns news as it happens, and we'll see how it goes going forward. But I appreciate you guys listening. Please hit the like button, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks, guys.